Hello, and welcome back to the Single Society. My name is Jo, and this is the podcaster series where we will be exploring all that is best in singles life, aiming to reframe the conversation about what it means. Now, you have landed today on the sixth of a 7-part series, which is all about consent when it comes to singles nights. Now, of course, many of you will not be interested in singles nights, you'll be very happily single, and that is wonderful. More power to you. But on the other hand, there is absolutely nothing wrong at all with wanting to potentially meet a partner, meet more local people who are single in your area. Now, the very first episode in this series was looking at consent to opting in to a singles night in the first place. So, looking at whether or not that's something that feels right for you. By all means, go back and listen to that episode if you haven't yet, and make sure that you're subscribed so that you can see the rest in this series and, of course, beyond. So, in this series so far, we've been looking at lots of different areas when it comes to consent, being proactive with your choices, making sure that singles nights are spaces that really work for you. And in this episode today, I am going to be focusing on thinking about how and when you arrange a date. Sounds simple, but there are often layers to it. And you've got two things at play. You've got your own personal boundaries with something, and then you've also got what the other person is comfortable with, what they consent to. And this is worth thinking through before you even come along to a singles night, because then when you're in the space, you know what your own personal boundaries are, and you can show up and really listen to what the other person is saying. Now, there are many singles nights out there. I can tell you most easily about the ones that I run. So I run singles nights in Manchester, in Preston, and in York at the time of recording. They're expanding all the time, so by all means do go and check if there are others now available to you. But currently there are singles nights Manchester, Preston, York, and they run in a largely similar structure. So there's lots of opportunities for you to chat to people, there's conversation cards when you first arrive, there's quizzes, there's games, lots of things to do. And the event hosts who are at the event to look after you will swap you round different tables. So through the course of the evening, you will meet people, you will get to know lots of local singles, and obviously every new interaction presents that potential opportunity for you to exchange numbers, or to arrange a date then and there, which very much I would encourage you to do. That is what people are there for. I do appreciate that it can feel quite a bold move to do, but it is never more literally true than at a singles night that everyone is in the same position, everyone's in the same boat, and they will be very much flattered that you asked. I do have a separate episode on how to ask for somebody's number at a singles night, so if you are interested in that and you want to go back and listen to that first, then please by all means do so. That is there to kind of help you out with this. So, thinking specifically about how and when to arrange a date, it may be that you want to just do the number swap on the night, or indeed, if that can't happen for some reason, I will follow up with you the next day so that we can arrange those swaps of details. I'll see if there's anyone you want me to pass your number over to. But ideally, those number swaps will take place at the singles night. And you might want to then follow up over message, and that's absolutely fine. But where I see it work best when this really goes smoothly is if you can arrange a date based on something that the two of you have been talking about that night. So it could be a shared love of music, it could be that you both love dogs, you could go on a dog walk together, you might express interest in a new film that's coming out. There's any number of different things, but it's such a great way to sort of be proactive if, and it's a big if you have decided beforehand that this is something that you're comfortable to do. Now, I appreciate that for some of you, particularly the first time you come to a singles night, you may just want to test the waters. You might want to just get familiar with how the event runs. You know, you're open-minded to meeting people, but you don't want to put too much pressure on it. I really respect that. This is very much when you are at a stage where you are in a place personally where you are comfortable coming to a singles night and actively looking for a relationship, and therefore looking to arrange to go on dates. And that is something that only you yourself can decide when you're ready for and if that feels right for you. If you've made that decision, I am going to encourage you as strongly as I can over a podcast to please do go for it. Listen to what the other person is saying and ask them if they would like to do something together. Now, this is, of course, then when consent on the other side comes in. So you've got how the other person is feeling, and it may be that they are the person I mentioned before who is just trying to sort of like test the waters and get themselves back out there. So they may not feel quite ready to say yes as of yet, and you have to respect that boundary as well. I hope this, of course, does not happen, but it may also be that they are looking for something, but they're not quite sure if the chemistry is right with the two of you at the moment. And again, if that is the case and you need to back off a little bit, that's okay. You know, not everybody is a definite match, and it may also be that as they get to know you over the course of the rest of the evening, they come back to it. So you've just created the opportunity for them to consider that there. But it is really important to listen to what the other person is saying to you to know whether or not this is something that they want to fully opt into themselves. And again, I think that I have a whole separate episode as part of this series when it comes to drinking at singles nights. But this is another really important factor to consider when thinking about arranging dates. Firstly, making sure that you are sober or sober enough to consent at the point where you are making these plans, because you need to know that you're fully opting into it. So there's being sober enough to consent at the time of making the plans. And then there's also thinking about what does the next step, what does a date look like with that person that's really consensual and is going to help build trust at the start of a relationship. Now, that is different for everybody, but I don't actually drink myself. I think sober dates can be a lot of fun, and they do create spaces for you to get to know people more fully. So these are just things for you to reflect on before you come to a singles night. But consent is complex, hence the 7-part series that I've explored here. If you'd like to make sure that you hear this last episode that comes out, please do make sure you hit subscribe. There's lots more content coming your way as well. And I look forward to seeing you in that next episode. Bye for now.